Welcome to Beesalong.
Good day, Beaks. Today we're doing the frame assembly for the Langstroth hive and for the British national hives. I don't actually have any of the BS frames here, but I'll link to information and a how-to later on in the video. Guru. The Langstroth hive is available in most countries in the world in 3 hive box heights, and in Australia there's 5 box heights, and they have legs to match, and it doesn't matter whether they're a deep leg like this one or the very smallest. They're all nailed up in exactly the same way. Your frames may have arrived without nails, so what you'll need is a GIMP nail, G-I-M-P. They are 18mm by 1.2mm. They're for nailing up into the bottom of the frame, and some bullet head nails, which are 20mm by 1.2mm, and they're for going through the sides of the top of the frame. You will have received frames with a top rail, a bottom rail, and 2 side rails. Start off by putting a smear of glue on this face, both sides, top and bottom. But you don't want very much, don't overdo it. Start with the bottom rail with the groove facing up, and your glued side rail. Place it over the slot and ease it down into place. Turn it round and do the other end. Now take your top bar, place it into the slot, tap it down into place, do the opposite end. Make sure that all the joints are tight, and flush with the top. Now you're going to nail through the bottom bar into the side leg. Make sure your nail is going in straight and drive it home. Turn it round. Make sure the joint is tight. Make sure the nail is straight and drive it home. Lay the frame down. Make sure the joint is tight. That your bullet head nail is straight, and then drive it home. Oops. If you bend it, take it out and Try again. Turn it over. Make sure your nail is straight and drive it home. Now flip the frame. Do this one. Turn it over and do this one. With all your nails in, just go around the frame. Make sure that none of your nails have come through where they're not wanted. Complete all your frames. If these frames are to be used for cut honey, that is allowing the bees to naturally build their own comb, you will need a comb guide in the top bar for them to start and hang their comb from. Now, the frames I buy are from the Flow people, and they come with this comb guide. If you have access to a saw bench, you could cut your own. I will show this first, and if you don't have comb guides, I'll give you some alternatives. So you need to glue along the whole rebate, and make sure you get adequate glue. Put the comb guide in the slot and just tap it into place. That's it. Now complete all the other frames. You'll want 3 lollipop sticks, cut them up the center. It doesn't matter if they're a bit ragged. You need to put the straight edge after gluing up into the slot. Tap it down in place. Put 2 in, and then cut the third one to the length that's left. You need to fill up the whole of the slot. If you don't, if you only put a piece in the middle, they will build their comb, well, from the top down, as just an elongated football. They won't fill up to the edge of the frames, they'll stop. let's look at what I call the style of frame. Open frame with a comb guide where the bees build and hang their own comb. This cannot be extracted mechanically. When in the honey super, you have to cut the comb out, crush and strain it, which is what most amateurs do. Frames that have embedded wire and wax. Now, I don't do this myself because it's just not worth the effort. You have to buy the wire, then you have to have a wiring frame to be able to stretch that wire, and then you have to have the wax, and you have to embed it by heating the wires up with maybe a 12-volt battery and setting the comb down into it. So I don't think it's worth it. I just buy mine. Now you can use these in the brood box or in the super, but you need a mechanical extractor to be able to take the face of the comb off and then spin them. The third kind is a plastic foundation. I don't use these in the brood box. The bees are often reluctant to build on it. And please ensure that it actually comes with a wax film already on it, or you must wax them up yourself with hot wax. When used in the honey super, you can cut the comb face off, scratch all the honey out, crush and strain it, or you can use these in a mechanical extractor. Right, for the brood box, whichever you're going to use, sometimes you can use a frame with foundation, and then a foundationless one, then another frame with foundation, and then a foundationless one. That's called checker boxing. This does help to keep the comb being built between two frames with foundation straight. When you're using foundationless frames and the comb guides, use some wax to rub along the guide itself, encouraging the bees to start there. Remember that in the brood box, all the frames must be pushed up tight to maintain the correct bee space between the frames. If you don't, you'll probably get more cross bracing. In the super, space out your frames as evenly as possible. Doesn't have to be absolutely precise, but the closer you can get the spacing, the better. This will mean that the bees will actually build out slightly fatter comb containing a little bit more honey. They may do some cross bracing, but it doesn't matter too much because you're not manipulating this box, you're just taking the comb you're just taking the frames out to harvest the honey.
You can pause and restart the video by tapping the spacebar. These are the instructions for the British Standard National Hive frames. It doesn't matter the length of the leg on the frame, the nailing is exactly the same. They're the nailing points. Note that the side bars have a V on one side, and when you're putting them together, one will face to your right and the one on the left has the V facing away from you and the flat towards you. When the frames are inserted in the hive body, the V on one side touches the flat of the next frame and prevents the bees from sticking them together. This shows the wired wax foundation and where the nailing points are. This shows the completed frame. I don't have access to them, so I have included a link in the description below to a how-to video which is very good and shows the complete nailing and the insertion of the wax foundation. For future videos and updates, please subscribe, then click the bell.